He had one job, Steve.
Welcome to the weekly episode of the Freelancer Codex podcast. Your host, Steven, and co-hosts Mike, Devon, and JD are all set. Join us and tweet your questions at Freelancer Codex. Find us on Facebook at Freelancer Codex, or send emails to freelancercodex@gmail.com. Strap into your javelins and let's drop in.
All right, freelancers, welcome to episode 106 of the Freelancer Codex podcast, the longest running Anthem podcast on the internet. I'm your host, Steve, joined by two of my co-hosts, Michael, Devon, and JD. That's incorrect. I've said it 105 times before. In my head, I knew what I was going to say, but it just came out. Let me reverse that and start over. I am joined by two of my co-hosts, Mike and JD. Devon is out sick because he has the stomach bug, and that has knocked him down. So we are hoping that he is going to recover, that he is going to feel okay, because that is not fun having that stuff happening to you. So Devon, hope you get better soon. Good luck. Get some rest. Read some books. Do whatever it is you do. He's probably playing games right now. I bet if we looked online, he'd probably be playing Sea of Thieves or something, and that was just an excuse not to record the show today. That's where my money's at. So,
It's very possible.
Mike, JD, how are you guys doing? I think
Very
this is the first time we've ever done an episode where it's been the combination of us three. So I look back in all of our notes, and I think this is the first time that has happened on episode 106. So there's that, I guess.
That's a really odd thing for you to keep track of, but I'm doing well. I am doing well.
I keep a lot of statistics on a lot of weird things in regards to the show and in regards to Anthem. So just because I think numbers never lie, if you ever have questions or you need to confirm something, if you have numbers to back it up, then you can't really dispute that, right? Because numbers will tell us everything.
Are you saying that that a results-driven data is the way to go?
I think I am saying that, yes. I'm saying if you have evidence of stuff, things happen, and those things are cool. All right, so for episode 106, I thought we would get together and do a couple things. First of all, we needed to read an email from Gareth that I forgot to pull. So Gareth wrote in last time about our legendary weapons. So we had a discussion about legendary weapons and how to earn those. We talked about, gaining tokens and being able to purchase those. So what Gareth actually meant, he sent a revised email. I don't have it off the top of my head because we were having a lot of issues technically before we started the show, and so I just didn't have time. I should have done it earlier, but I didn't. Either way, here we are, and this is what we're going to do. So Gareth had made the comment that he didn't really mean earning tokens to buy a legendary, but what would happen if you actually earned a weapon. Let's say I earned the Thunderbolt of Yavinia, one of the cool guns in the game. In my opinion, it's one of the cooler weapons because anytime you can bring down some lightning, I think that's pretty cool. So say you earn that weapon has two rolls on it, that come pre-rolled. You're going to get these two bonuses. Say for the Thunderbolt of Yavinia, it would be something like elemental damage, lightning damage, and rate of fire. And then after that, you would be able to tweak that weapon in the future by modifying the other two rolls. So even though JD and I both got the Thunderbolt of Yavinia, we would still have differences in our lightning damage, differences in our rate of fire. But beyond that, we'd be able to change two of our inscriptions to be, I don't know, like Mike's favorite, like pickup radius. I could add that if I wanted to add that to my weapon. Or, JD, if he wanted to add, flight speed or something, he'd be able to do that. So a little bit more to that conversation that Gareth wanted to clear up, that we just kind of we went off in the wrong direction that Gareth wanted us to go in. So we apologize, Gareth. We appreciate you for being one of our longtime bosses, and when Devon gets back, I think we'll expand more on that conversation. Right? Any comments, questions, concerns? You guys still with me? Like, I can never tell if you guys are here or not.
No, we're here. You
Okay.
just kind of go off sometimes.
I'm just kidding, because the whole back end of the show has got me all flustered because I'm like, I don't know if this is recording correctly. I don't know if anyone can hear me. So
No, we know.
Okay,
We know.
cool. So a couple things have happened in the game since the last time we recorded, which was 2 weeks ago, and I guess I shouldn't say couple. There's been one change that we have noticed that we haven't had any clarification or any communication on. So the last time we recorded, the featured store was extended to 7 days. And we were kind of curious why that had happened. Okay. So that has been reversed back to its normal cadence of every Tuesday and then every Friday, the featured store gets updated. It followed the, Offstage says everything sounds great. Perfect. Thank you very much for confirming that. So the Tuesday reset was always wraps, or I shouldn't say always, but it kind of started to be that way, that every Tuesday we would have 2 wraps on offer, and then for the other 4 tiny little things in the store, we would either be a material, it'd be an emote, or be something of that nature. And then on the Friday updates, it would be armor packs. So they changed that to be a week for a while, then they changed it back to the normal cadence. But for the last 4 resets, we've had the pattern of those 4 items, the material, the emotes, and all that stuff did not rotate for that first week. It stayed the same. We had 2 wraps, and then on Friday, the 4 items stayed the same, and then we had 2 armor packs. Then for that third reset, it did everything reset, 2 wraps, and then 4 new items. And then for the last reset, it changed it to 2 armor packs to the same 4 items in the store, if that makes sense. So my question to you guys is... So it doesn't make sense to Mike.
The things you keep data on are just truly astounding. And I want to congratulate you for looking into this and watching this as closely as you have, because I don't know if anyone else has done that.
I think people,
good on you, Steve.
I think more people than you believe actually pay attention to that stuff. I know JD does, because JD's all about customizing your character. And this has kind of been a pet peeve that we've had from the beginning, is that the featured store is really, it's not the best storefront, and changing it to this doesn't make it any better, because now we're seeing less items overall. And I think that's worse because it's compounded by, there are people still getting into the game because it's been super cheap. And it's also weird because since the game went to the vault, more people are playing it, but now they're getting less access to cosmetic items. And one of the big draws to Anthem is the ability to customize your javelin.
Yeah.
So it seems like they're shooting themselves in the knee by going this route with the store, because there are still armor sets that we haven't seen. There's still that Ranger set that looks like it has the Predator helmet that has been data mined but hasn't been released yet. And now we're rotating to things over and over again, armor packs that we've already seen, and then leaving these 4 items up for that long. Now, a lot of people, and you guys might feel the same way, have said, oh, that's awesome because it gives me more time to farm coin to get those things. I don't like...
I didn't say that.
Some people on the internet, because I've been posting the reset every time it comes up, and people say, all right, more chance for me to farm for coin to get something that I want. But in my head, go ahead.
I think that might be a thinly veiled slight, because I read that, I followed that thread, and I read that, and that's how I took that as a oh look, it hasn't been changed again. It's the same stuff in the store. Yay. So that's how I read it. I think people are genuinely frustrated. I think there are some of us here on our show that are frustrated that there doesn't seem to be rhyme or reason, and that the nomenclature of what this is. So the nomenclature is a featured store, meaning, well, here are some items that we are presenting for you up in the front, making you think that, okay, well then where's the rest of the items that aren't featured but are still available to buy?
Correct.
I've had that anxieties from the beginning, and I have voiced that if it's available, then it should be made available.
Right.
And that's how I felt about it, because I have the coin that I have, and I want the stuff that is available, or I at least want to have the option to have the stuff that's available. And it, again, it's just voicing the frustration that if it's there, why isn't it there for us to have?
JD, do you have similar experience, similar feelings?
I mean, again, it's Anthem. So, in spite of the fair criticisms and the issues that Anthem has, there are some things in Anthem that are undoubtedly really good strengths. And I apologize, you might hear some noise in the background. I think my brother is putting a shelf in the other room. But one is its combat. Like it's moment to moment gameplay, the flying, the shooting, everything. And we've said before, like I feel like they should capitalize on that, like by doing like some kind of horde mode or something. Like really play to the strength of the combat. Okay, like some of the puzzles aren't great, but their combat is solid. Play to that. Their customization. Okay, like I talk about Warframe a lot on the show, and I think that Anthem has better customization in terms of getting the look and like visual aesthetic that you want. I think it's better than Warframe in that respect in terms of its sheer customization. And the biggest hindrance to that right now is the overall, in my mind, still a lack of cosmetic items and the overall availability of them. Because right now there's a bunch of armor sets that have been put out over time, or at least a fair amount of them. But if you missed them, you missed them. And I feel bad for the new players that are coming in, either through the vaults or through, sales or whatever, because they don't have access to some of the really solid looking armor pieces that have come out in the last, 230 days or something like that?
Yeah, 237 days.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and it is frustrating because if you are a ranger saving up for a single piece, there's no telling when that item will ever be offered. So no matter how many coins you save, you could have 140,000 coins saved up, but you don't know when you're going to have a chance to spend that. And you're like, okay, so what do? Do I keep grinding for more coins just because? I mean, there has to be a carrot at the end of the stick, and that store doesn't really offer that, especially because there's no way else to get those items. So, I mean, yeah. and I think let's do this, because this is one thing that I've been wanting to do for a really long time. Is I want to talk about the future of Anthem, not really talk about what we have now, because I think the team has told us that they're working on 2.0. The last update that we had from Chad, he said there's a lot of people working on that. They're not going to tell us anything about it because they're kind of heads down, working on systems, going through that. So that they're looking forward to 2.0. There's a small group working on things that are supposed to come by the end of this year that we know nothing about, that we haven't been told about, only that it's going to come at the end of the year. I mean, that could be December 30th for all we know, and that'll still meet that timeline. And the team hasn't been too great about hitting timelines anyway, so, we'll see what happens. If it happens, cool. If not, I mean, the team's working on 2.0, so I think I would like to shift the focus of what we are talking about to 2.0, because I don't think there's anything left for us to talk about in the current state of Anthem. Like after the Cataclysm's still up. And I just don't think there's anything else to be said on the current state of the game that we haven't already said, right? So I would like to start.
I think that's a fair point.
Yeah. So I'd like to start with how we started the show in the beginning, is wild speculation, because I think that's where we had the most fun, and that's that's the only thing we have left to do right now. And I think we can talk about the future of the game and things we want to see and things that we don't want to see. And then we can kind of frame it like that, if that makes any sense, right? Because otherwise we're just going to say, hey, loot sucks, get rid of loot. And I don't really want to just have a show of, hey, loot sucks, get rid of loot.
Because that doesn't make any sense, and that doesn't help anybody out.
It's not fun. Like,
it's not.
How fun is this? Hey, Mike, your loot sucks. I mean, that's just not fun to do. So we're going to do what we like to do, and we're going to speculate, and we're going to build systems, and we're going to see what BioWare does in the future, and we're going to see who's right. I'll most likely be right. So here we go. But first thing I want to say, thanks for everyone in the chat hanging out. Like to see a lot of the people that have been here for a really long time, so thanks for hanging out with us. You can email the show at freelancercodex@gmail.com. You can leave us a voice message at 505-386-7917. And if you want to support us on Patreon, you can do that at patreon.com/freelancercodex. And hey, you should go check out all of our other shows that we've been recording recently. It's been a lot of fun playing some D&D and talking about a lot of other stuff. You can go check that out at shutupandrespawn.com. All right, so 2.0 is on the horizon. It's way out there. I'm guessing it'll happen next year, sometime around EA Play. That gives them a long time. I'm guessing they started 2.0 right as the game launched in February. So that gives them another, 18 months to start working on the thing, 18, 14 months. And they already have the base, so they don't have to rebuild from scratch, digamos. So one thing that I want to talk about, I want to ask you guys, is there one system that you want to see carried forward from the Anthem that we have now to Anthem 2.0? And JD, we'll start with you.
Well, so far, I will say world events. I mean, they definitely have some problems, and they could be improved. Like adding some different types of missions and maybe greater variety. But I really hope they leave world events in more or less unchanged. I don't really have any immediate problems with them, and I find them to be short and sweet. Like if I'm flying around, trying to collect materials, or like trying to get to a different part of the map for one reason or another, it's nice being able to just quickly pop in, do a world event, and not have it take up so much of your time, especially when like the all the other content, the strongholds, the cataclysm, they all take 10 plus minutes to complete, and that's if you're going pretty quick. They can be over 20 minutes easy. Having something that is quick and completable is very welcome in Anthem.
So what kind of time frame do you think, JD, would be the sweet spot for a world event? Because you're right. World events tend to pull you off of what you're normally doing. So it can't be like, hey, I don't want to be distracted for 15 minutes to do this activity. So what's a sweet spot for a world event?
I would say about what it is right now, which is about a solid 3 to 5 minutes, depending on how far the world event is. It will, like, how far it's progressed by the time you join it. Sometimes you join it's already in progress. I know some of them can be completed in like less than a minute, especially the one where it's like, gather the power cell for the Strider,
right,
or something like that. But 3 to 5 minutes is pretty good. I honestly just wish that Anthem had more quick content like that, because like I said, the majority of their content is just long and very dense, so there's not a lot of a break. Like you're putting in a lot of time, and I feel like just short and sweet, get a little something that's a little bit more equivalent to the amount of time you sunk in is a little bit better when it comes to world events.
Cool. So carrying over world events. Mike, what's one thing that you want to see carried over to 2.0?
So I really like what happened with weapons near the end, the introduction of the cataclysm, just the different types, things that were kind of non-traditional weapons. I like the creative decisions made there. I hope that continues. I hope that designers are allowed to play with that more. I really like how melees were introduced, new types of melees. So keep those coming, just the different ways of combat, those different quality of life things that make the game the same but different, if that makes any sense. So I'd like to see it, because there's really so much you can do, but you can at least make Anthem more stand apart from everything else that's out there by creating these different types of weapons and things like that, and different melees. Even if you could get different ultimates out there, change those up. The ultimates are super cool, but if you had the option to choose, maybe even not choose, but I think of this just came to me just now, just thinking about it. So I think of the Ranger's ultimate, which is a missile barrage, and I think of how in Rocket League you can change your boost tail.
Yeah.
So something like that could be cool in Anthem if you have a few options of your trails from your rockets that you can fire off. I mean, like I said, something small, but hey, you can tell that that's my ultimate because I have the purple, comet trails from my missiles or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So something like that could be cool. I think maybe making it a little bit more out of this world, and continue going that way. That's where the weapons were going. We talked about how you could shoot a circular saw blade, and that just was really cool. So keep going with the weapons.
So you like the weapons, you like the gear, you like the ability, you like all that. the array of weaponry that we have. Like from the weapons that we got from Cataclysm, was there one that like really stood apart that like made you feel like, oh yeah, this is really what we can do in Anthem if we just go one step farther?
For sure, the ricocheting circular saw. Like that one was, I mean, it was sweet. You could, in a mob of three enemies, I mean, one shot and it would bounce around, and it was just fun. It made a cool sound. It was a sweet idea. It changed the way that you played, because it wasn't just holding a button down and shooting until things stopped moving.
Right.
You could bounce it off walls. You were playing with angles and trajectories and things, and it was just fun. It added something new that I hadn't experienced in any other game up until this point, and so I was very appreciative of that. And I hope stuff like that stays. I hope there's a rail gun. I hope that there's claymore mines, or maces. Oh, I would love to see the Ranger have like an actual, ball and chain mace versus the shock mace that we have. I mean, it would just be cool. Or even like an energy sword or something.
Yep.
So we're in this world of science fantasy. Like let's go with it. Let's pick up that ball and run with it. I hope that's what's happening. There's absolutely no reason not to. It makes, for me, it would make sense. It would make it different from Destiny. It would make it different from Division. Like, get new weapons in there, stuff that we haven't seen before. And if it doesn't work, get rid of it and then put something else in. I don't understand that system of, well, we have to wait and make sure that it's a perfect this and it's balanced that. Like, just put it out there and we'll tell you if it's perfect or if it's unbalanced or not. I mean, like you said at the onset of the show, data speaks for itself. If it's equipped on more of your players, I think it's a good gun. If it's not, probably look at it again and tweak it. So
yeah. I think
over.
All right, good. I'm glad your rant's finally over. I think one thing that I want to see for sure carry over is the combo system, because I think that's where you can have a lot of versatility in builds. I mean, the potential is there. The combo sound is fantastic. When you hit a sweet combo, like the damage output is exponential and it increases like in an insane amount. So like freezing things, then having another person come in and dropping a mortar on top of it, it feels rewarding. It makes you feel like you're playing smart when you build around that as a group. So there's a reward in that. So I want to see them continue with that system. I want to see that system expand. I want to see enemies that, if they have a weakness to fire, that's going to multiply my combo as well. So I'd like to see that system carry over. I don't think it needs a ton of tweaks, but I think we could make it into a more robust system, and add something into our inscriptions that instead of just, hey, extra combo damage or whatever, make that really a focus of our builds. Because right now it's like, sometimes, hey, if you want combo damage, if you have the right rolls, cool, you can throw that in. If not, well, I guess that's a whole different loot topic, so I will drop the loot topic. So I want to see the combo system come over. All right, so what is one system that is currently in Anthem that is not the loot, because I don't want to have just a topic about loot. What is one system that you want cut completely? Like, this is the decision that if you say, hey, I want this cut, it's never coming back, it's gone, you're not going to have it in Anthem 2.0. So, Mike, what is that one system that you want just cut from the game, gone, never coming back?
I have a hard time with multiple currencies. And I'm not sure why. I think it's just my desire for things to be simple versus, okay, here's your coin, here's your crystals, here's your faction tokens, here's your golden doubloons that all count for a specific vendor for different things, and only these activities earn you these currencies, so you have to do these activities. I wish currency systems were more simple, and that goes through all the games that I'm currently playing. So because I find that there are too many currencies that I can't keep track.
Do you want it more simple, or do you just want it completely gone and wiped off? Like, you wouldn't even have coins or or
No,
nothing?
because there has to be a currency, because that's what you get and that's how you get stuff. I understand that part. So just give us one.
So you just want one basic
Just
currency
give me,
throughout the whole thing.
yeah,
Okay.
just give me one currency. Maybe you can have an event currency when the cataclysm shows up. Just add one new currency, but in that same breath, keep that simple. Also, it doesn't need to be minor and major. It doesn't need to be, a difficult system. Maybe, and you're smirking, so maybe I'm just simple. So
I was smirking because I was telling a joke in my head because you said minor major, and I was like, yes, minor major. It was a military thing, so I
I don't
wasn't
know.
laughing at you.
Yeah, you were. But so that's just how I feel. I feel that can be more simple. I feel it can be more streamlined.
And I agree. JD, what is one thing that you would cut from the game, never coming back, clean off at the head?
Faction standing. Right now, I really don't see the point of it. It's way too grindy, especially the Champion of Tarsus stuff. And like the amount that you get for doing the events they give you standing, it just there's not a lot of like it is drops in a bucket. Um, all it really succeeds in doing, in my opinion, is putting some very useful crafting options like masterwork components behind this like challenge wall. That by the time you finally unlock this, you will probably already have all legendary components, which will render the masterwork components absolutely useless by the time you unlock it. It either needs to be completely cut or needs to be overhauled because they're like putting these masterworks behind this Champion of Tarsus challenge, like it makes no sense. Like you will have all legendary components by then, and you have no real reason to use those components because chances are the legendary components you have better rolls on them than the masterworks ever could, and they're just a higher power level. So
Yeah, it's at the point that you get, it's going to be a moot point anyway, because you're right. So you're going to have legendaries if you people that have obtained Champion of Tarsus. They have done it. I think the average that I saw is around 500 hours for a lot of players that have been completing it. I know in the beginning there was a bug that people were getting it completed, like for some strange random reason. A couple people in the beginning, like day one of the game, Champion of Tarsus was unlocking for them. But the other players that I've been seeing on Twitter or on Reddit that have been completing it, they're like, yep, I finally did it. It only took me 500, 600, 700 hours to do it, but I did it. It's like, yeah, that's just not, nope, not going to do it. So I agree.
Not appealing.
I think faction standing can be a system that could stay in as long as they just change those numbers, right? Because it could be fun if in the future in 2.0 there are faction-specific quests, faction-specific armor sets that you had to unlock, but as long as you had a system or a currency that made sense to where, like, hey, if I spend this amount of time completing these quests, I'll get this currency, or I'll get this reputation, and eventually I'll get this. Currently, Champion of Tarsus is a joke, and I don't know why they think it's okay to leave it to where it is. But that's neither here nor there.
The only thing that's really worth it in there, and that's only if you're a cosmetic junkie like me, is like it's the gold. That's it. Like I want it, but the rewards just aren't there. The numbers are too high, or the numbers that you're getting for standing, for collecting materials or completing strongholds are too low. Like you said, the numbers could be tweaked. But definitely the rewards need to be more relevant, especially when you take into account how long it will take you to do this. Because by then we're talking, I forget the exact math on that. I think somebody calculated how many hours it took to get Champion of Tarsus, grinding strongholds over and over again.
Yeah, it was like 500 to 700 hours for most people.
Yeah, and by then, like, if you've been reliably playing the game, especially with the new rate of loot dropping, you will have a legendary javelin by then.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't make sense.
Correct. So one thing that I would like cut is I do not like the sigils system. I don't like that I just don't like them because it feels like okay, I guess I have materials. I guess I'll put these things on. If you're going Grandmaster 3, you can put them on for a little extra bonus. Like anything under that, it's like, I really don't need these. There's no point in having these. So I just don't like that system. I don't like that it's like, okay, I can make this thing that'll give me a little bit extra power. I would rather the focus be on finding the gear that I can equip to give me that extra power. The gear, those random rolls that, I can tweak this. This thing gave me 5% more damage on this thing. I don't want to have to make a sigil, craft a sigil, spend the time doing it, one at a time. So I would just like those gone. I don't think they add anything of value other than, I guess I can get a little bit more power over here. So I have to do this one thing that takes materials and takes a little bit of time. So I don't like that. I don't like what they do. I don't like what they stand for. I don't like anything about them. So I want the sigils to be gone, come off, don't ever come back. All right. What is one system that we currently have that you would change, and how would you change it? So I will start. I want to see the way that we farm materials change. Now, this comes with the big caveat that we are going to have a real crafting system in 2.0. So that's all based on that. One thing I want to see change with the materials is, I think Mike might hate this, but I think we need more material types, right? So right now we have embers, and the single ember drops from everything that we have. It drops from the crystal looking things. Ember drops from the eggplant looking things. It drops from the rock looking things. Like, all those nodes carry the same material type. And I was thinking, when Destiny first came out, and I'm going to invoke the name of Destiny, when we were farming for materials on Mars, on the moon, on Venus, like, we memorized those areas, right? We knew exactly where those nodes were. We knew where they would spawn. We had routes, and we memorized those areas, and we became familiar with the environment. Now, I realized that we all hated that at the time, and we were like so excited when that thing changed, but we became familiar with the map. And I think that, what's the word I'm looking for?
I think there's other ways to get you familiar with the map, though.
Well,
rather than doing farming runs, if that's where you're headed.
But this is what I'm saying. Like, it got us to know the area. Like, right now, if I were to drop you anywhere in Bastion, like, I don't think you, within the first 10 seconds, would be able to tell what area you're in. If I just dropped you there and you're like, all right, 5 seconds, tell me where you're at. Are you in the Emerald Abyss? Can't even think of another name of an area in the Bastion right now off the top of my head.
I'll agree to that, but I'll also say that, because how many different material types are there? There are 4 material types
In which game?
in Anthem.
No, I mean,
we have
the chimeric stuff, and then we have embers, and all we ever get out of the nodes are embers and chimeric compound, right? Those are the materials
that comes from every type of material.
Yes.
Even we have the rock looking formations that are super square, and then we have the spongy plant
little
stuff,
fungus looking thing, and then the other plant
and
looking thing.
And those are the same materials that we get.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't realize that.
I mean, it's like we don't use crafting.
It comes
very
in different
often.
rarities, though, right?
Correct.
Maybe that's the distinction that I'm making, because you can get it. No, because different rarities they show the purple, green, the blue.
Right.
It's all chimeric compound.
So it's ember and chimeric compound is what we're farming for. So if you had a difference in those materials, and you had something to use them on, and you had farming routes, places that you had to go, like, you would know the map better. You would actually, have some emotion when you're going through the map and be like, hey, this is that place where I farmed for a really long time. And you would know the map more, because right now it's like we fly through it. There's no reason to stop. And it's just, it's just a playground. It's not really an environment right now and I think that's sad because the environment's gorgeous. Like, it's a beautiful place. Like, the environmental artist did a very, very good job on it, but it's not. I don't
being
know
utilized to where it could be with.
Yeah, I don't
with
think
things
it's
that we're doing.
right. I don't think it's become like part of. It's hard to feel like Bastion is a real place because we just fly over most of the stuff, right?
Or we want to, at least. We want to fly over it to get to the places where we want to go to. The only times that we touch down are when we have to. I guess I can understand your point. It's not the greatest point, but it's a fair point.
No, it's a weird point to make because I don't want to be like, I would love to grind. I would love to spend, an hour just running around in circles finding this stuff, because that's not something that we want to do. I guess, part of me remembers, like, recently World of Warcraft, like, Classic just released. So it's been like 15, 20 years. I don't know how long the game's been out. It's been a really long time where, WoW has received all these quality of life changes from grinding and farming, and everything's kind of been streamlined and made easier and easier and easier, to the point where people are like, man, you remember that time where we had to feed your pet and you had to make sure your pet was happy, or your pet would leave, or you had to go buy arrows, because you would run out of arrows from your bow and arrow. You remember that time? And I don't know if it's just like people thinking back at the nostalgia and being like, man, those were the days, right? Everything's a little too easy.
Yeah.
Leveling is too streamlined. It's too easy to, like, find a raid. So then we kind of look back at those times where, like, man, I really struggled back then. Maybe it is just getting old, because you're like, you know what? Back in my day, we had to walk to school uphill both ways in the snow. And maybe that's part of it, where I'm like, you know what? It sucked at the time. But you know what? I also memorized those routes on Mars when we were farming for that stupid iron, fighting Cabal.
So let me just ask you this question, because it's what I thought of. Do you remember any other routes anywhere?
I remember the one on Venus, over by the Vault of Glass. I remember the one on Earth, getting that spin medal for that stupid sword. So, I mean, yeah, I remember a lot of the routes.
Is that why you remembered them, because of the reward involved?
No, I think a lot of it is, Mike, that we would get on, we'd run around in circles, and we would just talk. And it was...
Gotcha.
So I think there's a lot of other things that are involved in that. I don't think it's just like, hey, like, it was really fun to do, because it wasn't fun. I don't think any of us liked that. But...
it was a means to an end at the time, because we were completing sword quests. And there were a few other quests that we needed to do, but I get your point. It's a little more clear now.
Yeah, because, I mean, in the beginning, we were leveling up our weapons with all that stuff, and that took a lot to do. So it's just, I don't know exactly.
That might be a system that might need to come over, being able to level weapons, because then there's at least incentive on using them. Even if it's something as simple as unlocking bonus damage or a different sight mod that you could put on it, not something like this gun, because again, going back to the Destiny system, when Destiny first showed up, each weapon had something like 7 or 8 different nodes, and then currently you jump into it and I think guns have like 3. So that system's been looked at, but I mean that's at least something. You're using materials.
Right.
There's now the option of running out of materials. I don't think I'll run out of materials forever.
No.
Forever.
I think at 2.0 there will probably be like a whole character wipe where it's like, sorry, you lost all your stuff and we're starting over. Because
maybe.
If they make
wouldn't be terrible.
No, because if they make a crafting system, everyone has so many materials that it's like, when are you ever going to run out? If they do, it's like, well, this item costs, 1,000 chimeric compound to craft. That way you actually do run out, because otherwise the economy is already broken. So I don't know. That's my long-winded explanation on how I want material nodes to change. So
that was pretty long-winded, but you made some good points there. Some of them.
I mean, that's how we do what we do.
Wall, but it's true.
I mean, it's
and we
Anthem
appreciate
2.0,
it.
so that's what we have to look forward to. So anyway,
we do look forward to it. And we want you all to chime in. Those of you in chat, those of you listening, tweet us out. Let us know what you would do in 2.0. Let us know what's good. Let us know what's bad. Let's get a discussion going and have something to talk about again. So we appreciate that.
You know, I do that to my boys.
I also wanted to think about,
and they
Do
hate
you
it. They hate
remember-
it too. I mean, I hate
what
it.
do they hate, Steve?
Oh, they hate it when I interrupt them all the time
Oh,
on purpose,
yeah.
especially when they get really mad and then I just keep doing it. Because at that point, you're just like, okay, now this is just funny because you're already mad, and now I'm making you more mad. And it's like, we're just ruining our kids is what we're doing. It's like, I have no idea what we're doing. I've only been a parent for 10 years, so I'm just guessing. Here you go, kid. Good luck. Guys,
Good luck.
this has been our first, I think I would like to start talking more about the future of the game. If there are changes, if there are seasonal events, we'll touch on them. We'll probably record some, quick shows if we hear any information. We're not hearing anything on our end as game changers, so I guess whenever it happens, if it happens. And I don't think they're interested in telling us beforehand. So, yeah, there you go. We'll talk about Anthem 2.0, talk about enemies, we'll talk about the environment. I mean, where do we go from Fort Tarsus? I mean, I don't think we can stay in Fort Tarsus in 2.0, so I think we're probably going to have to branch out, go somewhere else. Anthem is probably the only other location that there's a lot of talk about in the game itself. In the Codex,
You could go to Freemark in a ruined state.
Yeah, I think visiting Freemark would be really cool. Well, no, we visited Freemark. We went there to silence the Heart of Rage.
What if now that it's all like silence and stuff, like they're now starting to rebuild it?
I
the
would.
Infrastructure is still kind of there.
I don't think any infrastructure's still there.
I mean, it had
Freemark.
walls, kind of.
It had ruins that had been destroyed and lava was pouring out of it. I don't know if that's the best. Like, if you want to be a supervillain, yeah, you go rebuild Freemark.
It's all about a can-do attitude, Steve. You got to go in there with the right spirit, the right state of mind, and say, I am going to fix this place up.
Yeah, you tell us how that goes for you, JD. Let us know when those Titans just keep spawning underneath there, and like, hey, we'll go.
Rejoin me in a few months for flipping Bastion. I'll be doing it with a partner and all that. It'll be great.
All right, JD, good luck, and I think for everyone out there still listening to us and hanging out, we appreciate you. We appreciate you hanging out and sticking with the show. We're gonna stick with it. We're excited to see what the future holds for Anthem. I'm excited to see when they're going to communicate with us again. So, I mean, I guess they're pretty lucky they're not Blizzard this week. So, I mean, they've got that going for them. So, until next time, Freelancers, this has been episode 106 of the Freelancer Codex podcast. There's a Shaper Storm on the horizon somewhere out there. We'll find it, and then we'll see you on the other side. Bye.
Peace.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. You can find us on Twitter at Freelancer Codex, on Facebook at Freelancer Codex, or through email at freelancercodex@gmail.com. Join the Discord through the link provided at freelancercodex.com. Our show will always be free, but if you'd like to send some support, you may do so at patreon.com/freelancercodex. Our individual Twitter handles are at Stephen Lamson, at mlamson25, at Neverfear, and at JD the Joke Dealer. Freelancers, it's time to get to work.
Lock and load and stay frosty.